This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, look at the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
Well, it's bowl season. It's Sports 225. David Ching from ESPN.com is here with me, and it's our last live show of 2016 as we celebrate the holidays with the best of. So congratulations to you on making it back for the season ender.
Lucky me. Thanks for having me.
Well, let's start with LSU and bowls. The Citrus Bowl, Orlando, a better trip than some people could have expected. For a while there, I thought everybody would be freezing their butts off in Memphis.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, Orlando at Christmas time, that's not bad at all. The folks can take their kids to Disney World or Universal, and yeah, I mean, it should be, I would imagine, warm. We'll see. I've covered the game there where actually it was pretty cold, so it's not guaranteed, but it's a lot better than being in Shreveport or Memphis or some of those kind of places.
Oh, I just had that vision of, there's always bad weather, it seems like, for one of those games, the Liberty Bowl, the Shreveport Independence Bowl, which all of them have different names, and we have them written down somewhere. But in fact, my list is in the other room. Remind me to get that from the break in case I want to sound intelligent. And speaking of Orlando, do you know that to get into one of those theme parks now costs over $100? So let's say you take a family of 4 down to the bowl game, and say you make it a 5-day trip, which includes the hotels, going to the bowls, or the bowl game, and then maybe doing 2 days at theme parks.
Yeah.
You're dropping a major chunk of change.
Arm and a leg, that's for sure. One of the perks of being a Disney employee, which I am as an ESPN employee, is that you can go for free.
Oh.
So I haven't been since I was in high school, but my girlfriend and I went this past summer, and you can get discounts on the resorts and go to the parks for free. It's still an expensive trip because they don't have any discounts on anything else once you get in the door. But getting in was comped. So that's
nice.
one of the nice perks of ESPN employee status.
Save the cover charge. In case you didn't know, Disney owns ABC and ESPN, and it's quite an empire.
Yeah, to say the least.
All that being said, what do you think of LSU going to that bowl from a football sense and playing Louisville?
I think it's a really fun matchup.
I do too. Have they ever played? I mean, is it never in history?
This is the first time the two teams will have played.
Wow.
And you've got Leonard Fournette, who I assume is going to play. We'll still see. I mean, he's I'm sure not going to be healthy to the extent that he was
take
last
a long
season.
time to heal.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you've got Lamar Jackson, who I assume is going to win the Heisman Trophy. That's 2 premium talents on offense.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, they're not defending each other, so they're not exactly head-to-head, but on the same field, that's fun. And even if Leonard doesn't play, Darius Geis has been outstanding.
Wow, he's been really good.
Yeah. There are only so many games that pit 2 top 20 teams out of the 40-whatever bowls. This is one of them, and it's really, I think, one of the absolute best matchups in any bowl game that's out there.
I think there's 38 bowls, which counts the national championship game, or maybe 37 or something along those lines. I made the mistake of counting it up not too long ago. It's like, oh, God.
It's a lot.
I yearn for the days when there are like 18 of them. But for the people who like to start December 17th with, among others, the New Orleans Bowl that day, and just watch football forever. I was excited about New Year's Eve because I was originally, I said, LSU's playing New Year's Eve. That'll be nice because I'm not a big go out on New Year's Eve kind of person. I'd rather just cook and drink at home and not drink and drive and all that, And then Brenda said, the game's at 10 in the morning. I was like, what are we going to do the rest of the day? And then, of course, there's 2 more games that day. That's going to be a hell of a long football watching day, the 2 national semifinals. I think it's, in our case, it's 10 a.m. for the LSU game and then 3 o'clock for the first semifinal with Alabama, and then the 7 o'clock game is it Ohio State Clemson? Is that, do I have my matchup right?
I think that's correct.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's Ohio State Clemson, but I'm not sure about kickoff time.
Yeah,
that sounds right.
That's a hell of a long day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, Could be
Yeah.
worse.
In your case, in Orlando, you'll be cranking it out and then trying to get back to the hotel to watch the next two.
Yeah, assuming I'll be there. I
Yeah.
might be covering the Sugar Bowl. I haven't been given my assignment yet. Generally, I cover the Sugar Bowl and
Yeah.
not wherever LSU goes.
This guy covers the SEC all over the place, and I imagine some Saturdays you have multiple TVs and computer screens going on.
When I don't go on the road, which is most of the time when LSU's playing away, I usually have responsibilities to watch games at home, and I'll find a way to have like 4 or 5 things going on if there's that many SEC games going on.
Yeah.
I don't usually watch the national games quite as much. I watch the SEC games, and
Yeah,
when LSU's at home, a lot of times on Sunday, I'm watching Kentucky versus South Carolina, or one of those games that I missed the previous day. I don't really watch the NFL. I just watch a lot of SEC.
Well, we happen to sit next to each other in the press box at LSU, and I know when LSU's playing, you've always got another SEC game on the laptop, so you're doing at least that, you know.
Yeah.
At least you're watching another football game and not incessantly tweeting like college kids. Don't get me started. All right, so finish this segment with Fournette, because you mentioned him. It was such a big deal when LSU signed him. His promise was so remarkable coming out of New Orleans, and the kid is certainly special and has had some great moments. Am I right in recalling his first touchdown was when he did a Heisman pose?
Yeah, against I think Sam Houston State.
Yeah. That seems like a long time ago, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does. In the life of a college football player, that is
Yeah.
an eternity. I
Yeah.
mean, 2+ years ago.
Yeah.
It's been a really interesting career that he's had. Certainly he came here with championship aspirations, and that 2014 class is loaded with NFL talent. But they haven't lived up to that expectation. Have a new coach. I mean, it's in terms of like dog years or a college football player's career, it's a million years ago. There's been
Yeah.
so much that's happened since then. But I think we all can recognize that this is a special talent, a special player that we've been watching the last couple of years. And if he goes to the right team, somebody that I think is going to have an incredible career. But we'll see about that. We were talking about before we came on the air, if he goes to a team with a bad offensive line, all bets are off.
Yep, no doubt.
It's really that simple.
Yeah, no. Your fate at the next level can be determined by so many things. He's David Ching. You can read him at ESPN.com. He covers LSU and the SEC. We're going to take this break. When we get back, we'll talk more college football. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and I really encourage you to come out to our 12-acre campus here on Airline Highway in Baton Rouge.
Contact ITI to enroll in our Construction Management Associate and Occupational Studies degree program. Learn to plan, coordinate, budget, and supervise construction projects and collaborate with engineers and architects in the residential, commercial, industrial, and heavy civil construction industry sectors. Call now about this new exciting career degree. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
Back on Sports 225, David Ching is here. He covers LSU and the SEC for ESPN.com, and I have the aforementioned bowls list. And it's 2 pages of small print. And it starts December 17th with the New Mexico Bowl, which has New Mexico appropriately versus Texas San Antonio. Now, is UTSA where
Frank Wilson
went?
Right.
So we got him in a bowl.
First bowl game in school history in his first year there. That's a big story over
Wow.
there. Yeah, exceptional job that he's done.
And, I don't think any of us think that Frank, if he succeeds as a head coach, will be at UTSA very long. He'll be in line to get the next job.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah.
You've never heard anything about him here except that guy's going to be a successful head coach someday.
He's a great guy, good personality, and of course he's a great recruiter, and he has a pipeline into New Orleans, which is always a good thing.
For sure.
December 17th, I take it back, there are 5 bowls, including the Las Vegas Bowl with the aforementioned Houston and San Diego State. The Houston story is so strange. So I surmised for Matt Moscona on this show last week, let's see what you think about this, that it's a special coach that can build and sustain a program and then fight through the failures and show some kind of duration at a high level. And Texas hired Charlie Strong a few years ago from Louisville, where he had never been a head coach, had 2 good years, and they hired him. He failed miserably, obviously, at Texas. Tom Herman at Houston has been a head coach for exactly 2 years, had a great first year. This past year, okay. I mean, they're playing December 17th. That tells you something right there. and his best player, his quarterback, who was his leading rusher and passer, is a senior. And Moscona's counter argument was, yeah, but look what he turned him into. And then his leading tackler was a senior, his leading receiver is a senior. So I don't know if the guy can build, sustain, do anything. I think LSU made out good by not getting Tom Herman. Now that remains to be seen, because Texas is it's just crazy. So
Yeah.
anyway, as you look at me, so you were just looking at me wondering where the hell I was going there. Thoughts about any of that?
Well, I think Herman is a special coaching talent, but we don't really. There's not a resume that speaks to long-term success yet. We'll see. He's a Mensa member, very charismatic guy. I mean, I met him a couple of years ago when he was coaching Ohio State in the playoff, and I thought this guy's really got it. But there are a lot of guys that are really charismatic and smart that have been failures as head coaches.
And so many of these guys make great impressions. They do great interviews. I mean, they're all dynamic. They're all well-spoken. They all know what to say. They're all prepared for their interviews. They meet with the media. They do a good job. You know? Did you know that there's a thing called the Cure Bowl on December 17th in Orlando? Arkansas State versus Central Florida. The Cure Bowl. Cure what? I'm just, you know. And then in Louisiana Lafayette, back in the bowl again, and they're playing Southern Miss. That's that whole. I'm not going to run through all the bowls, but you know.
Yeah, that could take the whole show.
No, it's pretty much. You know, there are some. You know, there's the Heart of Dallas Bowl.
Yeah.
There's the Quick Lane Bowl. What is Quick Lane?
Is that
Like oil
a
change?
financial, like a loans and
Oh,
stuff?
maybe so. That's in Detroit, so that makes sense. I don't know.
Well, I'm one of those people that falls on the side of enjoying the entertainment.
And I'm like you. I do enjoy, like, if you got nothing else going on, you flip on the TV anytime in December, you're going to catch a football game.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a dead month otherwise in the sports landscape. So
Yeah.
I love it, and I know my employer loves it. ESPN owns and operates some of those bowls, and almost all of them are on ESPN airwaves. So
I mean,
if you look at it from a programming perspective, I mean, it's the middle of December. It's a Tuesday night. You've got Troy versus Central Michigan or something like that on. That's going to do exponentially greater viewership than, you know, the World Series of darts. It's great. I'm thankful for that existing because it probably gives me a job.
yeah, the World Series of darts. There's the Dollar General Bowl, appropriately, in Mobile.
Yeah, my hometown.
Ohio versus Troy. T-Roy in a bowl.
Yeah.
You know, there's some others. Now, as you get a little bit farther down the line, there are some intriguing matchups. NC State and Vanderbilt in the Independence Bowl, I think could be really fun. Minnesota, Washington State in the Holiday Bowl.
Yeah, that'll be a fun game.
Yeah, that's one of many that could be really fun. Miami, Florida versus West Virginia. West Virginia's fun to watch.
They are.
And this is all, you know, the Texas Bowl, appropriately in Houston, Kansas State and Texas A&M. That's a real interesting matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Kansas State's got a quarterback that's really fun to watch. Can really run. Texas A&M can't tackle. That should be a pretty high-scoring game, I would assume. We'll see.
Hey, what happened with was Texas A&M just a one-hit wonder because of Johnny Manziel, and was John Chavis ill-advised to have gone there?
Well, I think John Chavis saw the writing on the wall with Les Miles.
Here.
Yeah, here. And
Like that old, I know a sinking ship when I'm on one?
well, he was on one at Tennessee about a decade earlier.
You're right,
and
right.
I think he saw what happened with Phil Fulmer and saw it happening again and was like, I'm going to go while the getting's good.
Yeah. And he did make more money and get a better situation for
Yeah.
himself.
And, you know, whatever happens with Kevin Sumlin, someone else will hire John Chavis, and he'll be very well compensated there as well. John Chavis is a good coach. Not a very good recruiter. Not the most charismatic man you'll ever meet, but a heck of a defensive scheme coach. And, you know, I think Texas A&M probably was a flash in the pan with Johnny Manziel, but it also feels like a sleeping giant to me. You're talking about a state that is loaded with talent, that has resources and the willingness to use them. I don't think Kevin Sumlin is probably going to be the man that sticks around, but eventually that's going to be a dominant program, I think.
Were you describing Texas A&M or Texas?
You could probably describe a lot of schools in Texas that way.
Well, we'll say this. Let me give you two things. We've got to go to break. From having had a couple of very long visits with John Chavis, not about football, he's a most interesting man who is really interesting to talk to and loves his dogs. And how about if Les Miles got the Houston job and he hired John Chavis as his defensive coordinator? It's just throwing it out there. He's David Ching. He covers LSU and the SEC at ESPN.com. We'll take this break and be right back on Sports 225. Oh, hi. I was checking out Yelphi. I do it all the time, all day, because it brings me all the news I need to know in sports. I mean, I've got a customized news feed, real-time scores. It's integrated with Facebook and Twitter. You download it on iTunes, Yelphi, Y-E-L-L-F-Y. It's a great app and a fantastic Twitter feed. All right, we're back on Sports 225. I'm Lee Feinswag hanging out with David Ching. We're talking stuff, mostly football stuff. You were here, maybe, 5-6 weeks ago during the middle of the LSU season. And, of course, we visited before the season. This is the damnedest 3 months, isn't it? 4 months, whatever, August, September, October, November. This is the damnedest 4 months.
I haven't been doing it as long as you have, Lee, but it's definitely been the busiest football season that I've dealt with so far, a decade or so. It's been, it was crazy.
I mean, this year had the stuff like reminded me, and you've heard this story, you weren't here around then, when Bill Arnsparger was the LSU football coach and went down to Florida, he said, just to talk. And he had this press conference where the athletic director, Bob Broadhead, was on one side of 12 feet of table, and Arnsparger was on the other side of maybe 12 feet of table. So they're like, almost 10 yards apart at this press conference. It was, there's just so much bizarre crap this year. And it all started more than a year ago with the almost firing of Les Miles. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how hard was it for you as just a reporter and somebody covering the team when the whole firing went down and all that went with it?
Well, you had to have a sense that that was a distinct possibility after the Wisconsin game, and the way the wind seemed to be blowing after these assurances that things were going to change offensively, and they didn't change. I mean, I think Les dug his heels in the ground, and when they lost to Auburn again, and all of the clock management and the bad offense and a lot of the issues that have made people so frustrated with Les happened again, I think it kind of made the decision easy for Joe Oliva and those people that were already really frustrated with him. If I'm being honest, I had a story written on Saturday night after the Auburn game saying that Les got fired because I had a feeling that it was going to go down.
Oh, so it's like the old, hey, somebody's going to die, so let's write the obituary ahead of time?
Yep, it was already done. I just had to wait for them to make the decision and hit send. So, I mean, I felt like that was probably coming down the pipe.
Wow. So you and I haven't talked, except for, hey, come on the show in a couple of weeks. What did you think of Ed Orgeron finally being given the job?
I thought throughout the process up until the Florida game that there was a really strong chance that this was going to happen, especially with the effectiveness that he had shown as the leader. Mm-hmm. The day of the Florida game, I thought he had blown it. After the way they played in that game, I thought they're going to hire somebody else, and this was his chance, and it went up in smoke with the way they played because it was just such a sloppy effort. But then, it seems clear that Jimbo Fisher was lukewarm on LSU, and maybe LSU was lukewarm on him. Tom Herman got the job that he wanted at Texas. It seemed like those were the top two candidates. Who else was there that was just jumping off the page as an obvious candidate to LSU that would have been superior to Ed Orgeron, especially after the way they played under his leadership? I thought it was a perfectly, I was about to say acceptable, a good hire, a strong hire. If he's able to lock down Dave Arandas as a defensive coordinator, which he has, and then bring in an offensive coordinator, we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, what are your thoughts about that? Because me personally, I can't see Lane Kiffin making this move.
I think that he will if he's not a head coach. It's pretty clear that his time at Alabama is done. I think he and Nick Saban have had enough of each other. And, he and Orgeron are tight from years of working together. Yeah. I think they'll pay him very well, make him maybe the highest paid coordinator in the country. I
mean, they saved $3 million a year in hiring Orgeron.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you're looking kind of at a leadership situation that's never been done before. There's never been what will be a smaller gap between the head coach's salary and his coordinator's salary than what LSU will have in place here. And I think if you find a head coach like Ed Orgeron who is willing to accept that kind of deal where he's it's a little bit more of a money share than what you'd see anywhere else. I think that could work very well. We'll see.
I've always thought that. I've always thought that a head coach would be wise to have his exorbitant salaries, like in the case of somebody making $5 to $6 million. You know, I've never had the problem, but I assume if I made 2, my life wouldn't change much differently than if I had 5. You know, I'm just going out on a limb, you know, and be able to hire the best coordinators and the best people.
Yeah, it makes your life a lot easier if you've got competence around you.
Yeah. And Ed seems to be the kind of guy who's very, very happy and comfortable with, you know, spreading that out and letting people do their jobs. All right, let's take a break. We just got a couple minutes left, and then you're free to go cover more rumors. He's David Ching. You can follow him on Twitter at David Ching.
At ESPN Ching.
At ESPN Ching. I'm so bad about remembering people's Twitters. Mine's at Lee Feinswag if you're really bored. And you can read his stuff at ESPN.com. Look for the LSU stuff in the SEC. It's Sports 225. We'll be right back.
It was nearly a decade ago that Brett teamed up to Imagine Your Parks, and you imagine big. 12 beautiful community parks from one end of the parish to the other. 1 family-sized water park, and 5 other parks just for your dogs. You have places to splash and places to explore. You have games to play and camps galore. No matter what you like to do or see, visit Breck.org and see how together we have made Breck better than imagined.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225, hanging out with David Ching from ESPN.com. Thanks to John Williams from JCW Productions and jcwproductions.com for directing the show. And go to sports225.com to see the show listings for our times on Cox 4, CST, and for any show. They're all archived there, including the last time David was on, and this one, all on our Sports 225 TV YouTube channel. It's just like reading one of those things, and, you know, when they read the disclaimer on a baseball game.
It's a mouthful.
You know, we mentioned Alabama briefly, and we've only got a couple minutes, but my gosh, how in the world does it happen that they just not only keep reloading, but keep dominating? I mean, they're just kicking the living crap out of people.
Yeah, well, I mean, you stack #1 recruiting classes the way that they have, and this is the product of that success. It's really that simple. They recruit better than everybody else. They're deeper. Like, LSU played them better than anybody else in the country.
No doubt.
But there's a difference between being 6th in recruiting every year or something like that. Let's say that's what LSU is, and #1 every year. You see it on the field. The depth and talent is just really remarkable.
Yeah. The next time we come back live on the air will be 2017. The bowl season will be over. LSU Louisville prediction?
I think LSU wins. Louisville is kind of taking a little bit of a downturn, and Kendall Beckwith not playing in the game is going to be rough, I think. But I think LSU probably wins something like 30-20, something like that. It'll be a fun game.
Does Alabama win the national championship?
Oh, yeah. You could go broke by betting against Alabama. I mean, they're just the safe bet. I could see one of those teams upsetting them. Ohio State did a couple of years ago, but just ride with them. You're going to be right more than you're wrong.
Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, man.
Have a great holiday season, and hope you get a little downtime in addition to the bowls. Thanks, everybody, for watching, and we will see you in 2017. Read his stuff at ESPN.com and at Ching, ESPN Ching. Follow him on Twitter. I'm Lee Feinswag. Good night. See you next year.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry. See the mowers marching, prizes fill the sky. This Spanish Town Mardi Gras, may it never die. Poetry was everywhere, sweet music filled the air.